It was kind of the same story for both Ngannou and Uzdemir. Both these guys were sort of, a year and a half ago, they weren't necessarily in anybody's, conversation as title contenders. And then all of a sudden, they both end up being in a very similar place. Look, dude, I think the big story of the night is, holy shit, does the UFC know how to overhype a fighter? God damn it.
Well, no, not really, because come on, I'll be honest, Ngannou deserved the hype. He came in and looked devastating. I'm not sure how long he was actually a part of the UFC. It wasn't long. It doesn't feel like a long time. I don't have that exact stat in front of me, but he was there. He was knocking people out. I mean, his last fight against Alistair Overeem, remember, this is a guy that's been around for a long time. Overeem, that is. Went out there, destroyed him first round, nearly took his head off. Before that, knocked out Arlovsky, submitted Curtis Blades, I think it was. Pretty much all finishes, and in devastating fashion. So really, yes, of course, the UFC hyped him. Of course, that's what they're going to do. If they want to sell pay-per-views, pardon me. If they want to sell pay-per-views, they're going to hype people. So you can't blame the UFC for that. And he kind of fast-tracked himself to that title shot by destroying everybody.
And he looked super marketable, big, scary, fucking terrifying black guy. Just muscle on top of muscle, really terrifying looking guy. And this, the truth is the UFC wanted Ngannou to win. I feel like Stipe Miocic, leading up to the fight, he sort of implied that, I don't know if that he was disrespected, but there was some sort of, during the contract negotiation process, because was this the last fight in his contract?
Who, Stipe?
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that, but Stipe was kind of annoyed in previous fights because obviously this microphone's right in front of my face. Should I move it down?
You can move it down a little bit.
Yeah, hold on. So this is where pre-production comes in. Yes, Stipe was pissed off because I think, what's his face? Overeem got more money than him, and there was somebody else. So he was kind of taking a stance for a while that he wanted more money, which obviously, as the heavyweight champion, I feel that nobody should get more money than the heavyweight champion. You are the baddest man on the planet. That is the moniker that they use. So he was a little pissed off about that. I'm assuming they made it right. I think he said on the Ariel Helwani show that he made it right. So yeah, anyway, going into the fight, all happy, money's good.
Right.
Ngannou's a beast. Physical specimen, as you say, knocks everybody out. But nobody was talking about Stipe. They were all talking about Ngannou. And I can kind of understand that. I mean, as I say, he's impressive. He knocks people out. But, it's crazy when you look at Stipe Miocic. He's knocked out the last 4 of his 5 opponents as well and knocked them out in the first round. Verdum, Overeem. Who was the last one? I don't know. He's knocked them all out. The only one that went the distance, was it a decision, was Mark Hunt. No, that was a stoppage late in the 5th round as well. So he's stopping everybody.
He had a decision early with Junior Dos Anjos that he lost back in the day. But yeah, he's knocking everybody out as well. And I think that, look, if they fought 10 times, I think 2 or 3 times Ngannou might knock him out in that first round. I mean, he was...
I don't know, Lewis. Come on. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, Stipe had the perfect game plan.
Of course.
He got caught with a few shots. It shows, number one, that Stipe can take a goddamn shot. Jesus Christ.
Stipe's a monster.
Because everybody else has fallen. He took a few of those shots, but he also slipped a few times. He did a great job of taking them down. I think the criticism, and criticism isn't a fair word because I'm a fan of Francis Ngannou, but if you want to talk about anyone, it's Ngannou that wasn't ready. And that wasn't ready because it was too fast. He wasn't ready because he was too hyped. He wasn't ready because Stipe was too good. And it's as simple as that. I mean, Stipe took him down almost at will. They were clean takedowns. Ngannou didn't sprawl much. His takedown defense against defense wasn't there. And the big point was the gas tank, man. Jesus Christ. I mean, don't get me wrong, Ngannou is a beast, as we all say, but at the end of the first round, that was it. It was done. And Stipe can go all day. I mean, that first round was exciting. I would score it for Ngannou, but at the end, he was visibly tired. And at the end of every round after that, Jesus Christ, it was like an extra from The Walking Dead at round 3. He was stumbling all over the place. He was so tired, And I guess that's because Ngannou was a victim of his own success. If you're the type of person that goes out there and knocks people out in the first round, then I guess you're not going to do much cardio. You know, as I say, a victim of your own success. This fucking microphone, man, is right in my way. I'll figure it out in a second when you talk. You know, but you got to do the road work. You got to do the cardio. You got to do the wrestling, especially against a guy like Stipe.
Well, yeah, and look, here's the thing, man. It's all Stipe in that fight, right? You got to give him all the credit in the world, and I'm not. I think Stipe brought the fight to him. He fought a really smart fight. You saw how cautious he was in that first round. He knew how dangerous Ngannou was in the first round. It was so much so that Stipe, it was like somebody was trying to attack him with a fucking baseball bat. He was ducking out of the way, like he was legitimately being attacked. It was fucking crazy. It wasn't even just like a fight stance. He was just trying to fucking not get hit in that first round. You could tell exactly how cautious he was being. But that was the real thing where Ngannou, I mean, was it all just a cardio thing? Was it an adrenaline dump? I don't know. How far have we seen Ngannou go? We've never seen him fight a 5-round fight, but he looked like he had absolutely nothing after that first round. His mouth was hung open. He looked like he saw a ghost.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I think we spoke about this on the podcast. And I'm not criticizing him, by the way, for taking the fight, because if you get offered a world heavyweight title fight and you're that good, you take it. You take your opportunities, especially when, you had a tough background coming from Cameroon, and the story is not too long ago he was homeless. So, in those circumstances, of course, you take the opportunity of fighting for the world heavyweight title. But obviously, everything is 20/20 in hindsight. But if he could do it all over again, and I spoke about this, what he should have said, or his manager should have said, is don't take the fight, or take the fight, but take it in 6 months, okay? And I want you to go out to Bulgaria or Russia or even somewhere in England that has a wrestling camp and learn to wrestle. And do some jiu-jitsu as well, because his ability to get back to his feet, his ability to stop a takedown wasn't there. I mean, of course, actually, in the first round, he did okay. But as he got tired, it was just easy to take him down. And I think it's because of the lack of wrestling, or the lack of throwing somebody off and getting used to that wrestling conditioning made him so tired. Ngannou is no stranger to throwing punches, but it's a completely different energy system when somebody's trying to take you down. Wrestling is the hardest part of MMA. It's the hardest thing for injuries, and it's the hardest thing physically, stamina-wise. So he really needed to go away and address that. And I think that Monday morning, he knows that. And if he was to get another shot, maybe it would be different. But, it was a completely dominant performance for Stipe Miocic.
Yeah, and look, here's the thing. He's such an impressive specimen, and the heavyweight division is so thin that, 2 or 3 more big knockouts against big name fighters. That's it. He could be right back there again. It's and the truth, and the reason I say, he could win that fight 2 or 3 out of 10 times. It's just a style, dude. If he hits him, and he can hit him, it's not like Stipe, is this unbelievable, crazy striker who just is impossible to hit. No, he did get tagged a couple times. He got tagged a little bit later on in the fight where I was really surprised about, and he actually looked, I remember it was like the 3rd or the 4th round where Ngannou looked like he was just stiff and dead and flat-footed, and he hit him with one, and it still looked like it hurt him. It still looked like it did a little bit of damage. I'm just saying that story could easily be sold again, and they could easily sell a rematch. They could sell another fight with Ngannou versus somebody else. Just stylistically speaking, he can knock out any given guy any given Sunday.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they could easily reschedule that fight. All that's going to happen is that, Ngannou has got to go away, knock out a couple of people that can't wrestle well, and all of a sudden he's in line to fight for the belt again. And this time he needs to go away, work on his wrestling. If he does that, that's how they can sell it. They can say, he was dominated in the first fight. Since then, he has worked on his wrestling, like a madman, or however you want to phrase it for the sake of a promo. Don't word it that way because that sounds shit. But you know what I mean? And if you do that, it gets the buyer interested again. A little too far too soon. Remember, Stipe was raised in Cameroon, did most of his training in France, or maybe spent time in France. I'm not too sure. I'm not an Ngannou background expert. Sue me. But, my point is, there ain't no wrestling in France. There ain't no, or there's not much, so he needs to learn to wrestle. Simple as that.
Yeah. Well, heavyweight, the heavyweight division, Ngannou kind of made it look exciting for a minute. I was kind of buying the hype train a little bit.
Yeah, me too. Everybody was.
But now Cain, I guess, in Cormier's post-fight speech, we could talk about Cormier's fight as well, obviously. But no disrespect to Daniel Cormier. Just to be honest with you, Oezdemir, he basically shit the bed. It was.
Hold on, just stick with the heavyweight fight for a second.
Okay.
Because you're right. You mentioned Cain Velasquez there.
Yeah.
And let's not segue to that one just yet, because I think Cain Velasquez is. When Cain Velasquez is in shape, when Cain Velasquez has no injuries, he is the man, to be. He really is. I mean, he's so impressive to watch. Taking nothing away from Stipe, you just heard me say how much I respect and admire Stipe's abilities. But Cain Velasquez is the man that could really come in there. And if Stipe, even though he holds the record for the most successful title defenses, which is an amazing thing. But if he can beat Cain Velasquez, then there really is no question that he's the greatest of all time. Because he said on the microphone, he said, "Oh, I'm the best to ever do it," or whatever, and he probably is. But the only argument right now to that is Cain Velasquez. So Cain Velasquez, get your ass in the gym, get ready, get better, and that is the fight to see. And if that happens, as I say, Stipe is the man. Stipe is already the man, but he will be the man.
Stipe, in my opinion, if you look at both their resumes, Stipe has already done everything that Cain has done and more by defending the title for the record amount of times and beating basically everybody that Cain has beaten. Who has Cain beaten that's like, oh my God, like holy shit, that Stipe hasn't beaten?
I don't know. You put me on the spot there, but listen, they were both great heavyweights. Cain Velasquez was amazing. He was incredibly dominant at the time. Think back to those performances against Junior Dos Santos. I mean, that was crazy. They really were very dominant after getting knocked out. So, listen, that is the only... There's not an asterisk. There's no asterisk. Stipe is the undisputed champion of the world. He's defended the belt more times than anybody. So he's the man. I'm only saying that in terms of conversation, in terms of sad bastards on the internet like us trying to, say there's someone better than him, Cain is the only person that they can throw out that.
That's the only debate. Yeah. And
look, it's the only debate. Yes.